Hello, welcome to this slideshow, part 1, on the sound of poetry, rhyme, and beyond. And this will be a review of terms and concepts that are covered in Chapter 5 of our textbook. You should have your textbook handy to review examples as we go through the slideshow. So, next. A little bit of an overview. There are various ways of rhyming. There's different ways to talk about sound in poetry, and of course rhyming is what first comes to mind. There's also alliteration, dissonance, assonance, syntax, mimesis, and onomatopoeia, which I always have trouble pronouncing. So in this first part of the slideshow, we're going to talk about rhyme. And there's different types of rhyme. Most of us are familiar with end rhyme, which is the rhyme that comes at the end of a line of poetry. So in our book, there is a Siegfried Sassoon poem on page 99, but I'm going to take you to an online version so you can see the text, keeping in mind that the text may be blurry as the slideshow is blown up, so it's a good idea to have the book as well. So Siegfried Sassoon was a group of poets who participated as soldiers in World War I, and after the war they wrote a lot of poetry about their experience, which was the first time that this sort of war had occurred where the casualties were massive. You know, the technology for weaponry had developed to the point where mass amounts of people could be killed at once, and you know, it was a pretty powerful and traumatic experience for many of the soldiers. So these poets were trying to capture that experience with their poetry. And as I read their poetry today, you know, I can't help but think of the many young people who have come back from wars in the U.S. and have experienced similar trauma. So this is called Does It Matter? Does it matter losing your legs? For people will always be kind, and you need not show that you mind when the others come in after hunting to gobble their muffins and eggs. Does it matter losing your sight? There's such splendid work for the blind, and people will always be kind as you sit on the terrace remembering and turning your face to the light. Do they matter, those dreams from the pit? You can drink and forget and be glad, and people won't say that you're mad, for they'll know that you've fought for your country, and no one will worry a bit. He does a great job of capturing that sense of how soldiers are soon forgotten and their sacrifices. So here, he's working with a specific pattern, and you'll see that in the first and fifth line of each stanza, he's got a rhyme. So there's legs and eggs, sight and light, pit and bit. And then he takes the second and third line, and he has a rhyme pulling those two lines together. Kind and mind, blind and kind, glad and mad. And then in the fourth line of each stanza, he breaks that pattern and puts in a word that, you know, is not rhyming. There's the hunting, the remembering, and the country. And so that's how he's working with the rhyme. I'm going to go back, the end rhyme. I'm going to go back to the slideshow. And here we are. Here we are. So another example is this Edna St. Vincent Millay sonnet, What Lips My Lips Have Kissed. And this is also in the textbook, but I'm going to take you to it here. Edna St. Vincent Millay was from Rockland, Maine. She didn't stay there, but she was born and grew up there. And she might have come back, but she went off to New York and Paris and places like that. And so this is a sonnet which has a specific kind of rhyme, and we're going to get into that later in the semester, but for now we'll just concentrate on the rhyme and not the pattern of the sonnet and so forth. What lips my lips have kissed, and where and why, I have forgotten, and what arms have lain under my head till morning, but the rain is full of ghosts tonight that tap and sigh upon the glass and listen for reply. And in my heart there stirs a quiet pain for unremembered lads that not again will turn to me at midnight with a cry. Thus in winter stands the lonely tree, nor knows what birds have vanished one by one, yet knows its boughs more silent than before. I cannot say what loves have come and gone, I only know that summer sang in me a little while, that in me sings no more. And again, this poem was written in the aftermath of World War I, and there's definitely a linger there. I mean, a sense of loss there for the young, unremembered lads that not again will turn to me at midnight with a cry. So here she's working with the I sound in her end rhyme, the Y and the sigh, reply, cry, right? And then she's got the lane and the rain and the pain and again, and then gets into another pattern with the tree and the me, and she's got the one and gone, and then the before and the more. So the sonnet does a lot with end rhyme. Let's see if I can get back to the slideshow here. Yay! Now there's also beginning rhyme, and that's rhyme that occurs in the first syllable of a line or line, remembering that syllables are the parts of a word. So red is a one-syllable word. Redder is 2 syllables. So this is just something that I scratched out for an example. Red cliffs towered above the desert, dead birds circled in the sky, as you said that you would never forget what led us to this moment in the blazing sun. So here I have chosen to emphasize the rhyme at the beginning of the line. And, if I were to develop this further, I might expand upon this, perhaps use a different rhyme, but somehow making this idea of the first syllable important in the poem. What this means is that I worked a lot with the enjambed line. Whoops. You, and I take the said to the first part of the syllable to create that beginning rhyme. And then again here, what led us to this moment in the blazing sun. Other types of rhyme is internal rhyme, which is rhyme that occurs within a line or lines. And I played around with this little mini poem here that I scratched out to work with the idea of internal rhyme. Red cliffs towered above the leaden desert. Dead birds fed on the remnants of winter suffering. You said that you would not forget what led us to this one moment beneath the blazing sun. So I'm working with that dead, fed, said sound within the line, and then in that last line I'm trying to work with the one in the sun. And overall, if I was doing more with this poem, I might be trying to sort of create an echo or some kind of effect with the internal rhyme. So that's internal rhyme. Now there's also true rhyme, and that is an exact match of syllables and sound. So that would be wood and good, heated and seated. But there's also I rhyme that looks like it should rhyme on paper, but does not. And that's a handy piece of rhyme to work with. So in that Edna St. Vincent Millay poem, she used the words rain and again as part of her end rhyme. Now we don't say again, right? Another example is cough and though. And there's a lot of other examples in the English language. Slant rhyme or imperfect rhyme is rhyme that is slightly imperfect, that maybe is a letter or a little bit of a sound different, but they sort of, if you juxtapose them, they kind of look like they rhyme. Bloody body. And then there's also triple rhyme, and that's rhyme in which all 3 syllables of a word rhyme. So in the poem Strange Meeting by Wilfred Owen, he uses mystery and mastery. I'm going to read a little bit of it. I'm not going to read the entire poem because it's long. But this is on page 101 in the book. And Wilfred Owen was a writer along with Siegfried Sassoon. They, shared their work, I'm sure. And both were writing about the experience of war. Courage was mine, and I had mystery. Wisdom was mine, and I had mastery, to miss the march of this retreating world into vain citadels that are not walled. That when much blood had clogged their chariot wheels, I would go up and wash them from sweet wells, even with truths that lie too deep for taint. I would have poured my spirit without stint, but not through wounds, not on the cess of war. Foreheads of men have bled where no wounds were. I am the enemy you killed, my friend. I knew you in this dark, so you frowned. Yesterday through me, as you jabbed and killed, I parried, but my hands were both loath and cold. Let us sleep now. So he's talking about meeting with the corpse of the enemy in that poem. It's a long poem. That was just a little piece of it. So triple rhyme, that's tricky. It's not easy to come up with triple rhyme. And but it's nice that we have these tools today like Rhyme Zone and Write Express Online Writing Dictionary to work with as we're trying to play with sound and poetry, because they can give us ideas whether it's triple rhyme or trying to find an end rhyme or work with internal rhyme. And I just want to take a quick look at the Rhyme Zone and see what we can find for a triple rhyme. So it's a rainy, blustery day today, so I'm going to try blustery and see what I get. And I get a lot of things. So there's a lot here that I wouldn't necessarily have associated with blustery. There's blistery, buttery, drudgery, history. It might be fun to think about the blustery history, or the luxury blustery, or the luxuriousness of blustery. Today is a blustery day, and I am working on my slideshows at my house, and it's kind of a luxury for me, so it's a luxurious blustery. So these are fun tools to play with. They both can give you quick rhymes, but also help you come up with words that you might not have thought of, just out of your head. So those are great tools, and I think this is the end of part 1. So I will see you soon in part 2.